Welcome to the Smark Foundation podcast. I'm Aaron. This is Adam.
Oh, hi, Marks.
And we are here to give you everything for the last week of WWE and AEW. I'll keep saying it until it's not true anymore. We are well-fed wrestling fans. I have been super stoked on everything lately. I'm just real happy right now.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the general consensus, too. I mean, I know that Blue Sky tends to be more of an AEW haven than a WWE haven. I think there's probably, I mean, that may just be the lists that I'm subscribed to, too. I mean, I am not following literally everybody on Blue Sky to make that assessment. But that being said, it seems to sway more AEW, probably as a trauma response to being harangued on Twitter. But most of the people who I saw that were watching Royal Rumble really, really liked it for the most part. I mean, there were a couple of people who I think were probably just biased regardless, but yeah, I mean, it tends to, what I tend to see tends to line up with what we've been saying the last few weeks about, having really good content for us to discuss.
Yeah, it's been really nice. And yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show, but the Royal Rumble was really good. I did notice that a little bit. There's still, I mean, once we've crossed like a lot of users on Blue Sky now, so I mean, we're gonna get some of the tribalists. Some things aren't gonna be caught by the block lists and stuff like that. We're gonna get some bias. And I understand that because I mean, it was coming to Blue Sky was a trauma response for me too, even being a WWE fan, kind of.
Yeah.
It's terrible over there in the other place. So, of course, but there is a pretty nice, little WWE community over here, and mostly positive people. I mean, they call out what needs to be called out, and we talk about wrestling when it's time to talk about wrestling. And, it's nice, small, but nice. And there's, still plenty of good people there that are here with us. So, but yeah, I mean, gosh, man, AEW was kicking ass this week. WWE was kicking ass this week. I don't watch TNA, but I'm sure they were kicking ass. It's a bug. It's like an infection going around wrestling. Like, wrestling's kicking ass right now.
Yeah, it hasn't really since done like this where there were multiple companies, hit firing on all cylinders since like 1997, 98, really.
Yeah.
Like it's nice to experience this again. I wasn't sure I was ever going to be able to experience that again in my lifetime. I thought that was like one of those historical events that you just kind of live through and you tell your kids about. It's like, oh man, back in my day, there were two companies and they were both awesome. Now, I mean, I'm raising two kids. Like neither of them seem to be interested in wrestling yet because they're really young. But I'm kind of excited to share that with them when they're of an age where they're probably going to be more interested in it. Because if this continues, they're going to be spoiled for choice.
Yeah, I really like that we're spoiled for choice. And Indy's picking up really well right now. So, you can pretty much go anywhere and see a nice wrestling show or watch it on TV. And it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. So
for sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, with that said, we're gonna go ahead and get into our lockup. I'm gonna leave it.
If you're wondering where else you can find the Smark Foundation podcast, you can stream our show on Pandora, Spotify, and nearly anywhere else you normally stream your podcasts from, including our home at rss.com. We're also on YouTube, featuring not only full episodes of our show, but individual segments from each episode for easier content digestion. For any of those outlets, just type Smark Foundation Podcast into the search bar to find us. If you'd like to interact with us directly, we're very active on our new social media home, Blue Sky. You can contact the show at smarkfndnpodcast.bsky.social for general pro wrestling or podcast comments. And if you want to get to know us each a little bit more on a personal level, Aaron's personal account is at aaronsmark.bsky.social and Adam's is at adamsmarkfndnpodcast.bsky.social. If you'd like to further support our show, you can visit our shop at smarkfoundationpodcast.printful.me to purchase various merchandise with our show's logo on it. Wear your SFP t-shirt or hoodie around town and spread the word about the show that strives to bring fans together around what's great about pro wrestling today. Brought to you by a couple of everyday elder millennial wrestling fan dads. Now back to the show.
Here we are with the lockup. That is our Raw review for January 27th. All right, so it's go home to Royal Rumble week. Start of the road to WrestleMania, technically. Lot going on. There was a lot that went into Raw. So we'll just get right to it. So the first segment I saw about 2/3 of. We'll get to why in a second. But Seth Rollins kicked off Raw. I need Seth to feud with someone different or do something different or something. I need him to be off the Punk train. I really just, I need something to stop here. But he comes out, he declares himself for the Royal Rumble. So at this point, Seth is also in. And he's talking about how he's going to win the Royal Rumble. And then he's interrupted by Gunther. And Gunther comes out and he's like, I hope you win the Royal Rumble and then you pick me so that I can beat you. Okay. That's cool. That's pretty much Gunther's MO at this point. He comes out and says, yeah, I hope I get to fight you. You really want to fight me that bad? Okay. He's kind of about it all the time. And then some weird music that I didn't recognize started playing. And those two guys were interrupted by Logan Paul. At which point I hit the fast forward button until Logan Paul was no longer on the television. I don't think this is a controversial choice.
No.
I don't care in the smallest bit what he has to say. So if he's involved in storylines where I'm going to have to watch, I'm eventually going to have to watch. But if I can avoid it at all costs, I will. The only thing I'm looking forward to with him right now is for him to be microphone eviscerated by CM Punk, because I know for a fact that while he might be a natural at wrestling, he will not be able to keep up on the stick with somebody like that. And it's going to be hilarious. So we move on.
Yeah, he's used to talking, but it's talking on a show like this is a lot different than cutting a wrestling promo, especially one pointed at a specific person. I imagine that if and when that happens, he's going to be absolutely eviscerated.
Oh, absolutely. Whoever gets
I'm okay with that.
Whoever gets it has so much ammunition. So much. Yeah. And if he thinks that they're going to not use it.
Enough ammunition that it really should disqualify Logan Paul from being on this television.
That's true.
To be fair.
Which is why I fast forwarded through most of his segment. So, we go from there. And then, as we go backstage, Sami Zayn runs into CM Punk. And CM Punk's like, hey, I'll see you at the Rumble, and I'm going to be a WrestleMania main eventer. And Sammy's like, oh, well, I kind of took exception to the way you talked about me last week, saying we aren't on the same level, because you're right, we're not. I'm a WrestleMania main eventer, and you're not. And then just kept walking. Like, Sammy is becoming a bit of a savage. I like Savage Sammy. Give me more Savage Sammy. I'll take more of that all day long. So then after that, we've got a World Tag Team Championship match. It's War Raiders versus Judgment Day again. Except instead of Finn Balor, it's Dom Mysterio and JD McDonough. I don't know why they made this choice. However, for everybody who watches social media, this is the match where JD McDonough hit his head.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Oh.
Let me explain that he hit his head to us, but really what he hit was his head and his neck and his shoulders and his upper back and his lower back and his ass all at the same time on a announce table that refused to fold. It that announce table did not fold. That announce table stood on business. I made a bunch of jokes about how I hope the table's okay because that big ass head and all that. But I have a whole new respect for JD McDonough after finding out that he punctured a lung and broke a couple of ribs in that collision and finished the match afterwards. And he went hard in that match too.
Oh,
So he
like at that point, like, stop the match. Like, I mean, I don't know if you, with the adrenaline and everything, he felt just how bad the injury was, but like, holy cow, if that's what it was, like tough guy, but dumb guy. Like at that point, you punctured a lung. You should be dead. Like, stop the match and get medical attention.
yeah. I'm pretty sure he's like my notes don't say, but I'm pretty sure he's even the one that took the War Machine for the finish. So, like he just crazy.
Well, I bet that earned him a lot of points with Triple H.
I bet it did, but
considering the famous story that Chris Jericho tells about how much respect he has for Triple H for finishing the match with the torn quad. He's like, well, what do you want to do? Do the spot. And like,
yeah.
he did the walls of Jericho on the table. Like, so like, I mean, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's kind of messed up if you think about it for too long. But that stuff is going to raise your stock in the eyes of this particular, the people who run this business.
Yeah. Then after that we had
so good for him, I guess.
Yeah.
I hope he's okay.
Yeah, I hope he's okay. But yeah, I mean, he tweeted saying he was okay and then gave the extent of his injuries. So I assume that he's fine, as good as he can be, I guess. But then we had Rey Mysterio versus Xavier Woods. We're continuing kind of the LWO and New Day thing. Xavier mentioned before the match started that his family was going to be ringside because they had never been ringside to watch him wrestle before. And then he gets out there and his family's not there in their seats. They're just empty seats. And then about halfway through the match, his family shows up and he goes over to greet them, and it's his mom, his dad, and his sister are standing there for some reason with little Yachty. I don't know why, but then they all unzip their jackets to reveal New Day Sucks shirts. And so now Xavier has also been disowned by his family for being mean to Big E, I guess.
See, like, okay. I was always raised that, and this is probably different than some people and probably the same as others, but like, so this kind of, I don't know, it kind of annoys me because it's like, yeah, I get what you're doing from a storytelling perspective, but like, I was always raised to like keep family stuff in the family. You don't put it on blast on the internet. You don't do it in public. You keep it inside.
Yeah.
And wrestling is very much like that, traditionally speaking, with kayfabe and all that. Like, keep it within the family. You and I, before we started recording, we're talking about the insular nature of, like, how you never, fights happen all the time backstage, and you would never hear about it because it began and ended in the locker room without anybody hearing about it. So like this kind of thing is like, I get where they're going with it, but it kind of rubs me the wrong way because it's just not. It's like, ugh. Like, I get that he's being a jerk, but like, if it's a problem with the family, keep it in the family.
Yeah.
That annoys me.
So, the only real, okay, so them distracting Xavier led to a 619. Rey Mysterio takes the win. Nothing real surprising here, except that Cole announced during the match that Zelina Vega as an LWO member is over because she's moving to SmackDown. So I guess the transfer window is still open. I'm not sure why they're moving her over there. They really didn't provide a reason except for transferred.
I mean, I have a theory, but
Well, then we had oh god, sorry, I was looking for this. Okay, so before the next match, Jey Uso came out, and I thought he was gonna be in a match, but he just talked about how he was gonna win the Royal Rumble, and he had Quavo from Migos out there with him, and he stood. That was it. Like it lasted like 2 minutes. I didn't understand why they did it at all. Maybe because they have to have Jey Uso on the show because Netflix wants him there or something. Not sure, but there we go. But then we come back from the commercial break, which I didn't really see. They showed some kind of video package. And then it's Bianca and Naomi versus Liv and Raquel. And okay, so Dom interfered and Bianca beat up Dom, but that allowed the heels to get the win, basically. Have I mentioned on the show before that I don't like the Judgment Day? Yeah, I think I have.
I can't remember. Having trouble recalling.
So I just don't. The addition of Raquel Rodriguez and moving her and Liv over to the women's tag team division, I don't like that either. Before they start this feud, I would really have preferred them to wrap up what's going on with Jade Cargill and at least let us know who attacked her or figure out or bring her back so she can tell us who attacked her. I don't know what's going on with Jade. With her not being actually injured, because by all reports, she's not actually injured.
Yeah, it's work.
Why are we keeping her off TV so long? And spoiler alert for the Royal Rumble later, she's not there either. So at this point, it's like you believed in her enough to put her on in the women's tag titles with Bianca, and they were a good team. And now you've written her off TV and replaced her with Naomi, and you're not going to help us. And they're still talking about it. That's the thing. Like when we get TV time with Naomi and Bianca, they're still like, we got to figure out who attacked Jade. Well, do you? Are you actually actively still trying to figure it out? Because it doesn't seem like it. Because it just gets one-off mentions in backstage segments and stuff like that, and I don't know what's happening here. I don't like that part at all. There's a lot to like about WWE right now, but there's certain things like this Jade Cargill thing that I'm like, we have to. I know Triple H is kind of more of a long-term storyteller than Vince was. He likes to do things over years instead of PLE to PLE. But we have left this, now we've left it on the shelf past like a prime point where we could bring her back and say, here's the deal. It's been like 6 months or something. It's been a long time. So our heels get the win. The match, do I have to say it was short? I mean, at least.
You have now.
At least they're consistent in their problems, I guess. As far as
they're not creating new ones.
Yeah, they're not creating new ones, but they're not really fixing the old ones either. I mean, I guess I would say that the Royal Rumble probably shook things up enough on both sides, men's and women's, that we're going to get some significant developments in this next week as we move into Elimination Chamber and the actual road to WrestleMania itself. But as go home shows, these were kind of just like hit the brakes until the Rumble, man. Like hit them hard. We're gonna stand still in traffic right now just for a week. And while I didn't particularly like that part, I was still highly entertained by the show. See, backstage we get Rhea Ripley talking about, who's going to face her. She doesn't know. Royal Rumble, all that. Bayley interrupts her and is like, hey, I could win and I could beat you. All friendly like, but I don't know. I feel like when Bayley's friendly, it's backhanded. I just feel that way. And then she's interrupted by Io Sky, who's like, hey, I'll see you I'll see you Saturday. So I guess there's still beef in the Damage Control. Um, although I don't know why. Then Paul Heyman comes out. He reveals the WWE 2K25 cover. Of course, Paul Heyman's revealing it, so it's Roman Reigns on the cover. Not really a big deal here. I usually don't play these games till like months after they come out, so I'm not really.
Yeah, after you can get like a used copy for
like
way cheaper.
$10. Yeah, I'm not paying $60 for the game, especially because they're usually rife with like server issues and stuff at the beginning, and I'm not doing all that.
Yeah, get the bugs worked out and get some patches and stuff.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I like the games when they're fixed and they work good. They work good and they're fun, But it's the same modes every year and stuff like that. So yeah, Heyman's doing the reveal for the game cover. Don't expect a timely review if you get one on the show, folks. Okay, because I'll play the game eventually, but it'll probably be like months after. Just listen to IGN's review; they do a good job. But other than that, not much to the Heyman thing. Then he's interrupted by Drew McIntyre, and Drew is like just kind of intimidating him, and Heyman kind of weasels out of it, and that's pretty much it. Then we get Sammy versus Drew, which is why Drew was coming out in the first place. It's time for his match with Sami Zayn. It was a really good match. But of course, as we've seen many, many, many times, they're setting Sammy up to, be the fall guy so that somebody can beat on him a little bit to heat up a feud. Drew wins. Then he goes to attack Zayn, only for Cody Rhodes to show up and make the save. Of course, Cody's from Atlanta, so this is a big deal. Crowd, huge pop, all that good stuff. But then McIntyre attacked them both again. Zayn attempts to give him a hoover kick and kicks Cody. So just like last week when he kicked Seth, now he's kicked Cody. Makes me wonder what they're doing with Sammy. I don't know what's going on. He's becoming more savage. He's kicking the wrong people, maybe on purpose. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe he's going to go heel with Kevin Owens. Who knows?
Wouldn't be the first time. Probably won't be the last time.
Nah, probably not. We then have Penta, or backstage we have Braun Breaker with his IC title. Penta interrupts him before he can say anything and like taps his title and says Zero Miedo, and the crowd's with it. They are chanting Zero Miedo, so that's getting over in WWE too. And so yeah, they're having a little stare down, Penta versus Braun Breaker. Hell yeah, give it to me. I'm kind of with that one. Like that excited me. I was like, fuck yeah.
That's a definite styles clash there.
Yeah. Then we had a Cody Rhodes promo. He interrupted Cody, and they kind of had a little promo off. I really want to see more Cody versus CM Punk, but I don't know who they're going to make heel. I mean, you would think CM Punk, but I don't know. It didn't look like the crowd was like letting anybody be the heel,
Yeah, I mean, the crowd still loves Cody.
Yeah.
But eventually, the longer his reign goes on uncontested, the longer, fans are fickle and they're impatient. And if they think that they're getting more of the same, they'll quickly turn on it. I mean, John Cena experienced it. Whether the history books want to acknowledge this or not, Hulk Hogan was not getting the cheers in 1993 that he was in 1985.
No.
For sure.
Not even.
I mean, he certainly was not as popular in WCW at the beginning. The whole reason he even considered turning heel and joining the NWO is because he'd done pretty much everything on the top of the card in WCW. And it's like, well, what else is there to do?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it happens to everybody. Every top babyface, eventually the fans get bored of them. It's just in the nature of long, dominant top babyface reigns. That's all there is to it. So the longer they have this go on with him retaining, the more likely it is that they're going to want to switch him to heel if they're smart.
Yeah.
But he could always lose the belt and then shake it up that way and then chase again. And the whole thing kind of resets to a degree anyway.
Hmm.
You can kind of prolong it that way. I know Punk is far more comfortable as a heel than he is as a babyface. He's said that on several occasions. He's just kind of a natural instigator and crap stirrer. Just by his own admission, he just he's always likes pushing buttons. So being a heel comes more naturally to him. I don't think the fans, the WWE fans, are ready to turn on him just yet, though, because he's not there as often as Cody is. So you can prolong that by extending the absences between appearances. So I mean, I don't know. You could if their plan is to go that route for WrestleMania, you could do a babyface match.
Hmm.
You could do that. And
Yeah.
heck, if you're feeling spicy, you can go into that with 2 finishes and pick just like the 1994 Royal Rumble. You could have basically whoever's getting the most cheers decides who wins in the end. I
Yeah.
mean, if you want, I mean, you can't really lose with either one of them on top right now, to be fair. So like, why not go in there with 2 finishes in mind? Have have the match that you have up to a certain point, and have Triple H in the earpiece of the ref be like, okay, we're going with such and such based on how the crowd is reacting, and then go to the planned finish for if that person wins.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever been done before, but I mean, WWE is on top of the world right now. They can afford to take some risks.
Yeah. Yeah. They can. So I mean, effectively, Sammy and Drew were the main event, and so this was just kind of like an after the main event promo. Saw a promo as the main event, but it really was just like kind of an exclamation point on what was. I mean, I didn't expect much wrestling wise being a go home show. They really like to keep the wrestling light whenever they're about to do a big PLE, which I totally understand.
Especially with the Royal Rumble where everybody's going to be in the ring.
Yeah.
Like, literally everyone.
So I mean, it's it's it was kind of light on the wrestling, but all the promos were really good. All the interactions backstage are really good. This promo between Punk and Cody, this is what I want at WrestleMania. I don't know what they're going to give us, especially now with Jay winning. I'm pretty sure he's going after Gunther, but I don't know. We won't know till
Spoiler.
this week. So, I mean, here he is. But Raw was really good as far as like doing a good job of going home for the Rumble. They did everything they needed to do, and it was a really good show. So I think with that said, we can get onto our shine.